topic Understanding by Design. And this discussion will be presented by
Arif Sugi Wilawarga Kusuma,
Fatima Zahra,
Jadiantur Rahmi,
Nada Syafia Fariza,
Sri Devi Eka Lestari,
and Syifa Aulia.
Here, the first slide will be presented by Arif Sugi.
Okay, the first slide will talk about UbD or Understanding by Design. Understanding by Design is an instructional planning framework that requires planning using backward design. The principle of this approach is to design the course backwards, from the desired goals with the use of content and evidence of learning, and crafting events in the course by engaging pupil intellectually. For the second slide, the UbD approach facilitated students' meaningful learning by offering 3 stages of backward design process. The first is desired goals. The second point is determining suitable evidence, planning teaching strategies. In these occasions, our groups we will focusing on the second stages, determining suitable evidence. Next.
Okay, and next here, after identification of the desired goals, the second stage of the design process is to determine what evidence is needed to reveal students' understanding and meaningful transfer. The validity of the evidence of learning is determined by its alignment with the desired goals and the expected learning outcome. As the teacher, we have to know first what kind of performance and products and how it will be collected. And next, we also have to know what assessment is. So assessment is the process of identifying, gathering, and interpreting information about students' learning. The central purpose of assessment is to provide information on student achievement and progress, and also set directions for ongoing teaching and learning. Next.
Okay, next slide is about the purpose of assessments. There are some purposes of assessments, such as gathering evidence which demonstrate learning outcome were achieved. The second one, help teachers determine extent of students' understanding. And the next one, guide next step of instructions. Provide appropriate scaffolding, differentiated instructions for students throughout the learning experience. And the last one is provide feedback to stakeholders, students or parents. The next. And then for the assessment expectations, school develop assessment policies which provide opportunity for students to demonstrate achievement of syllabus outcomes. And the second one, use valid and variable assessment strategies. For the next one is have assessment processes which are time efficient and manageable.
Alright, next, before we continue to make assessments, we have to know that 3 basic questions when design assessments. So the first is, what kind of evidence do we need to demonstrate understanding of learning goals? And the second one is, what specific characteristic in student response, products, or performance should we examine to determine the extent to which the desired result were achieved, like rubrics designs? And the third one is, does the purpose evidence enable us to infer students' knowledge, skill, or understanding? Is it reliable, valid, or differentiated? And then next, evidence. So in evidence of understanding, referring to evidence gathered through a variety of formal and informal assessment during units of study. So the methods of gathering evidence of learning include informal observation by the teacher, question of peer, self-evaluation, structured assessment activities.
Okay, there are 3 types of assessment. The first one is assessment for learning. Assessment for learning is an ongoing process that takes place during teaching. For example, like when teacher giving exercises or worksheets to the students. This assessment itself is to see how well the learning is going. And then the next one is assessment as learning. This assessment occurs when students are their own assessor, like self-assessment or peer assessment. For example, when one student presents some projects and then their friends or another groups can give their own feedback or their own comments. And the last one is assessment of learning. Assessment of learning itself is an assessment that usually takes place at the end of a unit or year or stage. For example, like mid-test or mid-semester examination and final examination. This assessment helps teachers to decide whether their decisions about their student achievements is successful or not. And then the next one is kind of evidence. We found there are 5 kinds of evidence. The first one is informal checks for understanding. The second one is observations and dialects. The third one is text or quizzes. And the next one is academic prompts. The last one is performance tasks. All of this needs teamwork between the teachers and also the students.
Okay, and now I will discuss about the criteria of assessing learning. There are 3 criteria for assessing learning. The first, effectively guide and provide evidence for students' achievement of established learning goals. So the second, measure understanding or learning according to Bloom's taxonomy, which is this Bloom's taxonomy is very familiar for us to use this theory. The first stage is remember, and the last and the higher thinking order is create. Okay, so the last criteria is allow for differentiations as well as ongoing feedback for specific learning goals, what students will know and be able to do. Okay, and the last, here's the way of recording assessment may include the first, comment, so the second, grades, marks, checklist against students' criteria, and then rating scales, notes for interviews, graphs, and observation grid. Okay.
Alright, of all that we have presented, we can make a conclusion here that the main goal is to determine how students will demonstrate their understanding of the desired outcomes identified in stage 1. There are some key elements that we can know. The first one is assessment evidence. In there, identify what students will need to know and be able to do. And then the second one is performance tasks. Develop tasks that are authentic and relevant, allowing students to apply their learning in real-world context. And then the third, there is criteria for success. Establish clear criteria and rubrics to evaluate students' performance, ensuring alignment with the learning goals. And the last one, there is monitoring progress. It is a plan for ongoing assessment to inform instruction and provide feedback to students. Overall, in stage 2, they emphasize creating assessments that genuinely reflect students' understanding and skills. And that is all from our group. Thank you so much for the attention.